Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Forget Me Not Village Streamcast. I'm your host, Brian Prowitz, and I'm joined, as always, by the fantastic, spectacular, energetic, really smart founder of Forget Me Not Village, Pam Speta, here for another Streamcast to talk about dementia care and the Forget Me Not Village concept and introduce you to another spectacular person, leader in memory care in the United States in this episode in just a few minutes, Dr. Jim Wright. But Pam, here we are again. How you doing?
I'm awesome. That's awesome. How are you?
Yeah, it's gorgeous outside. Today was sunny and 75, and we didn't have to go anywhere to get it.
Yeah, and weren't blown down the street like we had been the last couple of days.
So. Yeah. Well, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm trying to find a facility here in Roseburg that I can actually open before the building is built. And that's mostly because the need is so bad. I mean, I literally get calls every day from people that need help, that need my advice, that, need caregivers. I mean, we're really in a very, very bad situation here. So I'm trying to find a facility, home, where I can have spouses live together, maybe not many, maybe 2 or 3, and have enough room for exercise and activities and all the things that we're going to have in 99, and then use that as a springing board for 99. Just, a lot of people want to see it up and running. They want to see feely, touchy kind of thing. And it's hard to explain to people that don't quite understand what I'm trying to do. So hopefully, if anybody out there has a building that they think is big enough that will be able to house whatever we do, I would love to hear about it. I thought I had one in town, but it didn't quite work out. I haven't totally lost faith yet, but you never know. The good Lord will bring it through if it's supposed to.
So when you refer to 99, you're talking about Highway 99. You're talking about just south of Roseburg, the location where that's been donated for the build for the Forget Me Not Village. Okay.
And that's the perfect scenario with the memory town and all the activities and things in there and the virtual reality room. That's the goal. That's the goal. But it's, when you're involved in social change and cultural change, it is very hard because people are always stuck in the rut of the way they believe things have to be said and done. And my guest here today, he is for social change and cultural change, and he looks at it from the physician side. And that's why I am so excited that he's here talking to us about how important things that we take for granted are really important, like the exercise piece of it and the diet part of it and the whole 9 yards. So he truly is a guy with a kindred spirit for me. So yeah, I've been really, really active. I'm pretty much sold both of my homes here, and I'm going to be homeless for a while, I think. But oh well, onward and upward.
Not sure exactly how to respond to that, but that's how much dedication Pam has to this whole effort and to try to help people who have been in the same shoes that she lived through. She's basically, Pam, without setting you off down your normal, explanation of the way your life was, essentially that's what you're trying to do. You've lived it. You barely survived it, and there are other people out there right now that desperately need the help. Before I allow you to introduce our guest today, I want to talk to the people that are watching today, just to remind you that we are live right now. And the reason we're live is because we have the ability to interact with people that are watching, not just on Facebook, but also on the Forget Me Not Village YouTube channel as well. So if you have a question or a comment, or you want to know more about something, we'll do Q&A at the end, but we want people to make comments, and we will see them here, and we can put them on the screen and have Pam or our guest today answer those questions. So no matter where you are, please put your comments in there. And of course, if you get something out of this program today, which we all hope you do, we appreciate it if you share that out to other people that might benefit from it as well, because the world of dementia care and the people out there who are either a spouse or a patient right now, they're everywhere in the world. We know that. And the timing of this episode is never perfect for everyone, but we know people watch the program afterwards. And even if it's afterwards, pop a little comment in there. Let us know you're watching. Let us know that this is interesting to you. And if you have a question, definitely leave it in the comments and we'll get to it at the end of the program. Okay, Pam, I've sold everything I'm supposed to sell. I'm going to step out of the way and let the show continue and let you introduce your guest for today.
Okay, my guest is Dr. James Wright. He is a physician. He is an advocate for elders. He is a medical director of Our Lady of Hope and the Memory Center in Richmond, Virginia. And he's also interested, just like me, to change the way we look at the quality of life, to look at the way we're really looking at social change. We're looking to change people's view of dementia and how it works. And, strangely enough, I've talked about this so many times, a group that is very, very large, and I won't disclose who it is. I asked them about the Dementia Village in Amsterdam, and I'm going to ruin the name, Hogwick, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Been around 18 years, works with nothing but severe dementia cases, and they have changed the quality of life for people all the way up until very shortly before they pass away. In other words, they're still up and moving around. They're not laying in bed, not exercising. They're not sitting in front of the TV, not exercising. They're actually going through the same routines they have done through their whole life. And when I brought that up, do you know what I was told? They said to me, well, Americans are different. And I think the chair went thump as I fell off the chair. What do you mean Americans are different? Dementia is dementia, no matter what country you're in, no matter how much money you've got, no matter which color you've got. It's blind. It'll hit you all the same way. We are no different. We're just more stubborn in the way we treat the families and the victims of dementia. And my friend here, Dr. Wright, he is doing his best to change that. And that's why I'm really glad we're going to be able to form this really good partnership, because now you're hearing it from my side, which is the caregiver side. We need to hear it from the physician side. We need to hear it from the doctors and what it's actually doing to these patients. So I want to welcome Dr. James Wright.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam. It's great to be here. I'm so glad we were able to catch up with each other on either side of this great country. Welcome from Richmond, Virginia, the pollen capital of the United States. It's raining pollen out here today.
Oh my.
My eyes are red, that's why.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been a physician?
I've been a physician for about 25 years now. All of that has been spent in one way or the other in long-term care. So I've been treating patients in long-term care nursing homes for 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, that sounds like true dedication. Absolute dedication. Have you seen any real changes in the last 25 years in how care is given?
Personally, no. I've not been involved in any of these new types of housing folks with dementia, such as the greenhouse model. I think that's one of the most advanced, forward-looking housing models that we have for elders in the country right now. Unfortunately, there are very few and far between, as you probably are aware. So I've not been involved in those. I've been involved in the usual long-term care buildings that had been built in the 70s or 80s with centralized nurses stations, long hallways with shared rooms, and it's been that way. I can remember walking down the same hallways when I was a resident back in the 90s. Not much has changed, unfortunately.
So why do you think that hasn't happened? Why haven't we looked at the treatment of dementias? Just because people don't want to think about it, or what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think there's a number of issues. Now, it's interesting when you were talking with that large group of people who said that Americans are different.
Yeah.
Here's where they're different. They're not different in wanting a full, rich, purposeful life for themselves. They're not different as far as that goes. But how Americans are different is that Americans think that they can either buy themselves or invent themselves or research themselves out of their problems. I think America does not take dementia as seriously as perhaps the Netherlands does, because if you look at some of these large groups, the emphasis on funding is on finding a cure for dementia. And I am going to tell you right now that we are not going to find a cure for dementia. We may find some things to slow dementia down, but dementia will always be a threat to every single one of us as we grow older, no matter how much money we throw into it. There's not going to be a cure for dementia. That's like saying there's going to be a cure for mortality. Brains are just going to wear out, no matter what. So America puts a lot more money into funding dementia research than it does into finding a way to provide a good life for people with dementia. That's how we're different. So we imagine, just like we do with a lot of other problems, we imagine we can avoid problems by erasing the problem. We don't really admit that we are not going to beat dementia. Dementia is going to be something that is going to affect a larger and larger number of us. So I think that's really why that's how I can explain the lack of progress in working towards a memory village, for example.
Well, I know my own personal experience was I got very little information from the doctor, the neurologist. No suggestions as to what to do, no suggestions of what the future would be. But if you just take this pill, everything's going to be okay. So they kind of give you the impression that everything's going to be okay if you just take these pills and go on your merry way, when really that's not the case.
That's not the case at all, as you found out, I'm sure.
I found out the hard way. That's why I do all this, because I had one of my Parkinson's people looked at me yesterday and he said, "Why do you take your time to do the support groups?" And I said, "Because when I needed help, there was no one there."
Right.
And I said, "I swore that no one else would ever have that problem as long as they know me and reach out to me and I can help them." That's that simple.
Well, and the other problem is, as a doctor, I can speak as a doctor, with your limited time, right? So if you're in an outpatient setting, you may have a good neurologist that can spend a good 30 minutes with you. But towards the end of that visit, when they're wrapping it up and they want to offer you as much, we all want to offer as much help to our patients and our families as we can. You can easily write a prescription. You know how to do that. You know how to point your patients in the direction of medication. But if you really want to tell them, here is a way that you can provide your husband, your spouse, your mother or father with a great life. Here's a place that you can find plenty of support so that you won't feel like you're being stretched and you're being, your health is being threatened. We don't have anything to prescribe for that. We don't have any real alternatives to just the typical, the typical way that most people with dementia end up. The problem with, talking to families with dementia, and I've kind of learned as time goes on, because I'm working in the facility. I know what can happen. I will have patients that come into my rehab facility, and that's a short stay facility where someone will come in from the hospital, stay for a couple of weeks and go home. Well, I'll see some folks that come in multiple times, same person coming in the multiple times because of falls, because they were wandering and they got injured. And I know what's in store for them. I no longer simply write a prescription for Aricept or Namenda or whatever. I know what's in store for them. So, I'm able to tell them what resources are out there. And essentially the resources are, for most people, most families with dementia, 80% of them at some point will use facilities. For most families, taking care of someone with dementia, they will eventually wear down. They will eventually find that they're not getting enough sleep, that their husband is too heavy to lift off the floor, that they can't possibly keep track of this person 24 hours a day that has a very erratic sleep cycle. So I can tell them that, at a certain point, they better get ready for facility placement. And I know all about that, but it's hard to tell families that, because facility placement means, a loss of their loved one, a loss of a lot of the freedoms that their loved one is used to having. So it's a tragic situation, and I'm in the unfortunate position of presenting it to families, several times a week. But I've learned how to do it gently and in a way that really helps families. But it's still, I offer more than a pill, but it's still, not a lot, unfortunately.
So is that how you came about the idea for what you're actually doing there in Virginia, is from that?
Yeah,
So
from that experience.
yeah. Can you tell me what it is you're doing and how it benefits the people? What makes it different from everything else that's out there?
Yeah. So what I've seen in my work in long-term care and assisted living facilities is that, I totally understand this. Facilities are set up to maximize the number of people that we can take care of, with the least number of staff, in the smallest space possible. And for many facilities, 70%, this is so certain profit margins can be reached. 70% of our facilities are owned by for-profit companies. And so what does that mean? Well, that means shared rooms. That means long hallways. That means little access to outdoor space, because if you're putting outdoor space as part of your architectural plan, that's unpaid space. No one lives in that space. So you're not being reimbursed for outdoor space. And so the emphasis is on indoor space, also because facilities labor under an incredibly punitive environment, legalistic environment. You also maximize safety. And so what I see in my facilities are these poor folks that may come straight from home, some of them. They're used to opening up a door. They're used to walking outside. They're used to having a routine that revolves around them. And suddenly they're put in a place where, for the most part, you can say goodbye to the outdoors. You can say goodbye to animals. You can say goodbye to your community, or just the general community at large. And so it is very similar to being imprisoned. So, for example, some of the really good facilities I'm in, I can sit there when I'm there during my rounds, and I can watch some of the more able-bodied folks. A lot of them are men, and they might be in their 70s, still very strong, very stable, and they walk around all day looking for a way out. But there's no way out. And if you do get out, you are faced with a courtyard that's either surrounded by walls or surrounded by fences. And what would you do in a situation like that? Well, you would get angry. You would get frustrated. You would want to know why you're being held against your will. And I end up having to prescribe medications for these folks that simply want to know why they're being locked up, why they're being imprisoned. So I prescribe, not that I want to, but I prescribe strong medicines like antipsychotics, benzodiazepines, antidepressants. And this is simply because of the way we've designed facilities around a financial model, not around the people, not around the residents. So that's where I started from. That's where this germ of an idea kind of sprouted. And that's what we're trying to correct with my group, Homecoming.
So how prevalent is just the giving of the drugs when there seems to be some sort of a problem, or they're falling? Is it I saw it a lot
Mhm.
when Rich was in the care homes. Instead of using behavior management, instead of really seeing what was going on, it was like the next time you go in, they're sitting in a chair, drooling, holding a teddy bear.
Exactly. And, I think there's a tendency to blame the staff. And it's true. In my facilities, I will get frequent requests, especially when I come into a new facility. My prescribing patterns are way, way under the national and state average as far as prescribing antipsychotics and benzodiazepines go. So I'll come into a new facility. I will get a lot of requests for medications. And they will learn after they get to know me that I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, well, what provoked the behavior? What did you do? What do you mean there was 4 people surrounding Mr. Johnson trying to take off his clothes? What, have you looked at any training materials? Have you looked at any TIPA snow training materials? There are things you can do besides sedate this person. I'm not going to do it unless, and I'm not a purist. I use these medications because you can't have violence in a community. So if you have a 65-year-old gentleman who, sorry about my dog, you might hear some barking. If you have a 65-year-old gentleman that's going up to 95-year-old ladies and hitting them, well, you've got to use medication for that. But my point is, I don't blame the staff. I don't blame the staff because these facilities are set up to produce and provoke agitation. Any facility that does not maximize freedom and outdoor space is simply going to have agitation and aggression as part of the daily routine. And the nurses, God bless them, they can't always divert that aggression and agitation. So I work with my nursing staff to help reduce requests for medication. I use medication as needed. But in the end, it saddens me to not be able to say, hey, just open the doors and let Mr. Johnson wander. Because that's just not possible in most facilities. But that's what would help.
So what is your facility, Homecoming?
Mhm.
How is it different? What would that do for the patient?
So we're at Homecoming, and understand this is just a concept so far. I'm hoping to make it a reality, just like you are, Pam. But what we are designing our facility around is to provide hope for those living with dementia. And we find that despair that is associated with the thought of having dementia focuses on 3 major losses. And so Homecoming is really a concept, and the facility will be designed to fulfill the concept. So what do we want to do? We want to restore the 3 losses of dementia, and that is loss of freedom, loss of community, and loss of purpose. The 3 losses of dementia. So loss of freedom, like I've just been talking about. If you go into a facility, you feel you are in prison. You don't feel like you're in prison. You're in a prison. So all of our homes will be centered around a large town green, and doors will open at dawn, close at dusk. They'll be in a 10 to 15 acre piece of property surrounded by a security barrier. We're going to try to make sure that it simply looks like bushes, not a fence, but a secure perimeter. We'll keep our folks from wandering too far, but we will also, as part of our philosophy, we will allow each of our residents the freedom to choose their path, to choose to put a hand on a doorknob, turn it, and walk out. And that restores freedom restores a sense of humanness, of agency. The ability to make decisions again is one of the major freedoms that we will restore to those with dementia. And then community. So the other thing about our facility is that you see a lot of long-term care CCRCs, those continuity of care communities that form communities within and of themselves. They're relatively self-contained. What we want to do, though, in the lives of our people with dementia, we want to attract the surrounding community into our campus. And so we propose having, first of all, a daycare on campus. And this daycare will serve a couple of purposes. It will support our frontline staff, a lot of whom might be young mothers that just need a place for their kids to be during the day. And it will be subsidized for those frontline workers, but it will also be available to the surrounding community. And so that will bring young families that normally would have nothing to do with a dementia center, young families onto campus. On the campus, there'll be amenities to attract the surrounding community as well, such as a dog park and an awesome playground, and those will be available free of charge to the surrounding community. So we want some amenities to be on place so the surrounding community can come in, and that brings with them the unpredictability and newness of meeting new people. The involvement with the community will not be scheduled. It will not be planned. Things will just happen like they do in real life. And so that restores real community into the lives of our residents. And then finally, it's the loss of purpose, which I think scares people the most. Once you have dementia, you certainly may have activities. And I have nothing against bingo. I think it's a great game. I love watching movies, but you simply can't do that for the rest of your life. And so what we want is not activities. We want purpose. And so on a 15-acre campus with trees and bushes and grass, you're going to have plenty of opportunity for meaningful work during the day, if you wish. We are also going to have a barnyard on site so that in the morning, if you want to go with your house guide to collect the eggs for breakfast, you certainly will. And then we're going to have a market, just like you've seen in Hoogvik, a market where the day's supplies will be collected. Those supplies will be brought back to your house, and with your house guide, you'll be preparing the meals and being involved in cooking and cleanup. So meaningful things. We'll sprinkle it with entertainment. There's nothing wrong with a good concert or time to listen to music, walk down memory lane. All of those kind of things are great. But we do not believe that once you have dementia and once you get into facility, your purpose is gone. We want to reintroduce purpose in the lives of people with dementia. So it's restoring the three losses: community, freedom, and purpose that we're going to do with our facility.
Wow, that's awesome. I like the way you wrap it all up into the three reasons.
Yeah, the three losses. Yeah,
it sure is true. Absolutely. Jim and I are planning to actually go to Amsterdam along with some others that are interested to be able to see it work in real time, to understand how they can have severely ill people with dementia still living a very high quality of life until they passed away. And that's what I want. I want that for me if I need it here.
Right.
And I want it for everybody I know. And, I'm always saying, you don't have to worry about a care home as long as I'm alive. And so far I've got a care home all by myself because of all these people that.
Yeah. So, right. And it's what we all want, right? We all, you talk to people about dementia, and it's really, there's nothing but despair, right? I mean, if you think about getting dementia yourself, you think about being in a wheelchair at the nurse's station, drooling on yourself. That's the picture of your future with dementia. We've got to change that. That is not what the future has to be. Not at all. So it's going to take some creativity. It's going to take investment. It's going to take some risk, right? Having outdoor access for people with dementia. What if they fall? What if they get rained on? What if they get cold? I mean, there's things that could happen. Well, that's part of life. If you want to live a risk-free life, you're not really living a life. You're living, you're living, but it's not a life. And so once you reduce risk, you reduce humanness and you reduce life's vitality and all the good things. All the good things leave once you reduce risk. And so it will take, and we'll have to change legislation, right? We'll have to turn facilities into a much less punitive driven, legalistic environment. We'll have to, as a society, say, whoa, we got to stop punishing facilities. This is our problem. We can't punish our way to better care for our elders. We have to start take the rules off and let them breathe a little bit, and let's see if we can give people a real life. Yeah. So lots to do. I've been working for 25 years in nursing homes and assisted living. I hope I've got another, I don't know if I got another 25 years in me, but I'll work as long as I can for this.
Well, how can I help you, Jim?
Well, Pam, I think, you've already helped me with some of the concepts you have, which I think are genius. I love your concept of having spouses share a suite. That's something we're going to be looking at homecoming. I think this ongoing collaboration between us and bouncing ideas off each other is really going to help. Hey, any donations you get that you want to steer our way, we'll take them. You know what it's all about at this point. It's about getting enough money the seed money is what you need to get your concept off the ground. We know we have a good concept. It's a winner. Yeah. We really think it can be successful, but none of us are fabulously wealthy. So it's going to take some kind-hearted, big pockets to get both of our concepts off the ground.
Absolutely.
So let's keep talking.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that was a great interview. I knew it was going to be. I was so excited to hear you were coming, because when you hear just one person talk about what they've seen or felt, it doesn't have the same impact as somebody like you that has seen it over 25 years, that hasn't changed in 25 years, and say, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah, it is. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines any longer. I'm gonna.
Yeah, me neither. I've had enough. I've had enough. It's too bad. It is too bad of a situation.
A crying shame. It really is. It's a national disgrace, is what it is. That's
for sure. Not to mention, it's going to bankrupt us. For sure, because of the cost. Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, anytime you want me to fly out there to Virginia to do a presentation for anybody, I'd be more than happy to do it.
You got it.
Absolutely.
I know we'll meet up soon.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Wright.
All right.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Brian.
Boy, Pam, it seems like there's a lot of similarities right there between some concepts. Yes. I love how every time we do another Streamcast like this, we're introduced to somebody else that has had some of the same thoughts, and you get inspiration from one another, it looks like.
Absolutely. That's why I when I tell my people, the newest one that's on my board is the CEO of the Glenner Village in San Diego. The first memory town that has been built in the United States. So, everybody sees the need, but like anything else, if you're a only voice, nobody's going to listen. But combined voices become a roar. And when things become a roar, you will get the attention. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to pull in everybody I know that believes the same way I do, that knows this needs to change. And then we're going to start a movement to get this become a reality, because it is totally unacceptable. Totally.
One of the coolest videos I've ever seen in my life about leadership and about risk was a bunch of people sitting on a hillside at a concert. And this one person jumps up and they start dancing, and everybody else is looking at him because he's dancing like crazy, right? People are like, oh, look at that person. Look at that person. Do you know who the bravest person is? The second person, the person that gets up out of the crowd, that's looking at the other person and joins that person, changes everything. Because now all of a sudden, all the people that were sort of pointing and looking and going, oh, look at that fool. All of a sudden it's like, well, now there's two. They're having a great time. Like, wait. It's that second person. And I think that's kind of where you're at right now with Forget Me Not Village. Although you have a lot of people board and people across the country and around the world that are paying attention to what you're doing. But as far as building a Forget Me Not Village here, it's time for that second person to step up.
Absolutely. We do need someone with, like the Tom Pappases of the world that see the need, and he donated the land. He sees what needs to be done, and it's time for others to step up. and help out, because this needs to happen. It truly does. And I don't want to see any of my friends have to go in a care home. That's why I keep saying, as long as I'm around, you don't have to go. And it's like, how many people can I take care of at once by myself? It's like, but I mean,
Yes.
I don't want anybody to go to prison. I don't, as I know what happens, and I know what I went through with Rich, and it was gut-wrenching. It was hard to watch these people being put down because they had a perceived behavior problem. And as a trainer, you learn how to take care of those problems without having to put someone down, for sure.
And you can see that entire story. You can see Pam's background. You can check out Forget Me Not Village online at forgetmenotVillage.org. We've got a video there that tells pretty much the whole story and gives some other input from the point of view of people that are either currently living with dementia in their family or have treated a spouse for a number of years. There's some very important stories that are there. A couple of notes. First of all, our next episode coming up on April 29th at 2 p.m. is going to be Kevin Mansfield. We're excited about that. So put that on your calendars as we do the Streamcasts here on the second and fourth Thursdays of the year. And also don't forget, the next day is an informational meeting at the Roseburg Country Club at 2 o'clock. If you'd like to know more about what's happening with Forget Me Not Village or memory care or dementia care, traumatic head injuries, Parkinson's, all of those topics, Pam will be available and explaining probably this and a whole lot more at that informational meeting on April the 30th. So those are kind of the main points for today, Pam. I know you've got another busy couple of weeks coming up, and gee whiz, seems like you got travel going on all the time too. You got any trips coming up?
Yes, I'm actually going down to Arizona again to meet with another individual that is has a history of building care homes and wants to talk to me about, raising some money for it. So yeah, it'll be another money trip, but that's okay. But isn't it the first and the third Thursday of the month?
Well, we're the 15th and 29th, I think. Anyway, our next show that's coming up will be Kevin Mansfield. And if you check back on the Facebook page, we'll get that handled.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at schedules and my calendar's up over here and we've got them scheduled there again. So if we're the first and third, today would be the third Thursday, and that would make sense. And then our next show would be on May the 6th. But we'll have more for it, folks, on the Facebook page, and we will settle this raging debate. So any final thoughts, my friend, as we head out the door today?
No, it's just, it's so exciting to find people that are already thinking the same way you are. And they, here's a physician. This is his job to do the things that I'm saying is wrong. And to have him stand up and say, this is what I do and this is wrong, but, that's what's expected of me. And that to me is just absolutely amazing, because there's a lot of people that don't want to believe what I have to say. And this just gives it a little more authority that, this is true. What I'm telling you is true. And, not a good thing. Not a good thing. So, yeah.
Okay, my friend. Well, we will have Kevin Mansfield on the next episode, which would be the first Thursday of the month, which would be May the 6th. So I'm much more confident now, as my producer in my ear told me what the plan is. So we will be back for that program, but definitely check out forgetmenotVillage.org. Please leave messages here, send questions that you may have for Pam in the inbox, or you can send it to her right here at Pam@forgetmenotVillage.org. We have quite a project that's happening right here in Douglas County, but obviously a lot of people around the country and in fact around the world are paying attention to what's happening here because of the work that Pam is putting on. So Pam, keep it up, my friend.
Gonna keep working for sure. Gonna be homeless, but it's okay.
Well, we'll see you again in a few weeks on April the 6th, and we just hope you take care between now and then, Pam.
Okay, take care.